Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rebel Creatives podcast. I'm your host Delano and I help restaurants increase their revenue using the Rebel Growth system. All right, so we have been, talking a lot about the system of creating, your retention, getting more persons to walk through your doors, and a lot of things like that, which is very good for any restaurant. But the next big question is, can you handle more food orders? All right. And not necessarily because they're increasing revenue, it means they're increasing profit and stuff like that. So these are some things that we always ask, our customers and, persons, restaurant owners we speak with. We ask, take a hard look, can you? And for the most part, a lot of persons they say they can't, and the reason for that, the biggest reason is not having enough staff, you know, and it's kind of funny because we're always, looking to get more customers and, trying to get those orders to come in to fulfill for the day, but then you have this, nagging problem that my staff didn't show up. I don't have enough people to push out all of these orders, or it's putting so much strain on the staff that you have right now when you get more orders and things like that, right? So what we realize, or you know, what we realize is that for restaurants, yes, your human resource is your number one asset. And we have it where a lot of restaurants, big restaurants that's been around for, 20 years or more, they have staff with them for, a very long time. People who are a part of the team from the beginning and stuff like that. Um, but ever since the pandemic, it really highlights, the importance of finding and keeping good workers, no matter what. And we've also seen, new changes that are impacting the restaurant industry every day since the pandemic. Things like, getting an online ordering system. We see where a lot of restaurants who weren't able to do that pivot, who were only dine in and reservations, how they closed down. Those some of those fine dine restaurants, yeah, they had to close down, weren't making enough money, costs piling up, they can't stay open. Then we have those that did pivot and started to do takeouts, online ordering, and all of those things. No problem. A lot of restaurants that had to close, they basically lost their loyal customers, right? And then you have the other restaurants who were able to pivot, started to scramble for those customers to get them to buy from them. All right. And if you really think about it, if you played your cards right and if you were able to pivot, even though we were going through a pandemic and it was in the heat, there was room for growth, right? And that's the reason why there was room, because restaurants that closed, losing their customers, those persons were ripe and ready for the picking for those restaurants that had what it took or did what was necessary to stick around, right? But in this episode, what I will be focusing on today is just talking about, how you can solve that problem of not having enough, good workers, and how you can, help in moving forward in getting and keeping um, those hires that you will be getting. All right. So here are some tips, that you should keep in mind when you're hiring for your restaurant. The first thing is you want to figure out what you need, right? You need to know exactly what you need for your restaurant. So look and see, where are your shortcomings, and which area of your restaurant needs someone to help and get things done. All right. So first figure out what you need, then write a good job description. All right. You want, when a person applies, they can have a very, very good understanding of what is expected of them. All right. So write a very good job description. And then number three, you want to create benefits that make you stand apart. So it's very, right now, looking for staff in the restaurant industry or anywhere for a matter of fact, you want to make sure that you're offering benefits that will make you look different from everybody else, because right now everybody is looking for people everywhere, every industry, looking for good people, people who are hard workers, who will stick around. So you have to make sure that your not only your products stand apart from everybody else so that you can get customers, but your job benefits, right? It should look, good, so that it's standing apart from every other restaurant out there. The next thing you want to do is consider your website. You want to make sure that your website is giving enough information about your business, your culture, um, what is the day in the life of a person working in your restaurant and stuff like that, so that when people do check you out, they can learn more, not just about the job, but about the environment that they would be working in. And you want to also consider the opportunities to advance and get referral. And what I mean by advance, you want people to come in knowing that, hey, there is room for growth, because that's what allows or dictates if people will stay with you when they decide to work with you. They will no problem going in at an entry level, but will I be stuck there? You know, um, Giving people that opportunity to grow in your company is, very attractive. And using referral programs is like you getting people within your organization to be able to say, hey, I know someone, I vouch for this person. They are very good at what they do. They can, come in and you can interview them. So those are some of the things you want to consider when looking for somebody. And the next and final thing is to treat your staff like family. And we see that a lot in the restaurant industry, you know, but we will need to see it more, So whenever you hire your staff, treat them like family. When you're training them, when you're, doing things like that, just, but this doesn't mean that you should be like forgiving all the mistakes and all of those things, but the way how you teach, the way how you train, the way how you communicate, all of these things, treat them like family. All right. And what we realize too is that since the pandemic, the roles, many of the roles, they kind of bleed in together. Right. The front of the house workers found themselves delivering packages, or the chefs started to part help in taking orders. So really and truly, the division between the front of the house and back of the house has blurred. So it's good to have a clear vision of what you expect from those roles. All right. Now, while the food itself matters, it's how everyone gets along that will keep your restaurant running smoothly. Now, keep in mind that almost every restaurant is hiring right now. So really and truly, what makes yours stand apart from everyone else? The first thing, you can try to do is have competitive wages. This will be challenging, because at the end of the day, not some restaurants got the RRF, got that restaurant relief fund. Many didn't, right? Those who got it are at an advantage than those who didn't, but guess what? What we what I suggest, is take a long, hard look at your restaurant numbers, right? We typically run a restaurant, um, where it's like cost first, we say these are what the things will cost, and this is what we can make based on industry standard and stuff like that. But no, you want to analyze your numbers, set targets, and work toward those targets, and let the targets be dynamic. What I mean by that is, don't let things be fixed. The prices for everything is changing so fast. So let your prices be based on those changes, all right? And if you need to pay your staff better, just calculate it in a way where they're being paid better, for example. So that's what I recommend, when it comes to, pricing and, setting up your cost, your sale prices. Try to be dynamic and looking at it profit first. All right. Um, and with that, you should be able to have a more competitive wage system. And that's why we are all about systems, because really and truly, what systems do is that it helps to cut down the stress of your workload, because you know exactly what you need to do day in, day out. It allows you to be more efficient. So you're saving more money instead of spending a lot more being inefficient and stuff like that. So that is why we say systemize everything in your restaurant, from the hiring, the training, the preparing of the food, everything in the BOH. You want to make sure everything there is systemized, everything around the FOH systemized, everything, right? You do that, it helps to make sure that you're reducing costs, you're being efficient, less mistakes, less waste. That alone can save you a bunch of money. When we talk about food cost, most of the times it's a lot of the food that was, mistakenly made, not made efficiently, wrong orders, things like that. So if you have better systems, you make less mistakes, you have less wastage, you save a lot of money, right? Just so you know, systems very important. The next you can do to stand apart is, have health insurance, you know, retirement plans, pet insurance, you can try to look into other benefits. You can do paid vacations, sick days, and opportunities to learn and advance careers, right? So these are things that you can do to offer your hires so that you can stand apart when people are out there looking to see where you're going to, try to work next. All right. Um, but okay, you have all of these figured out. You've created your detailed, job description, including the wages and the benefits in detail, right? The next step is to post it online, and this allows as many people as possible to view the job posting. All right, so online presence can yield you hundreds of applications, especially if you post them on traditional, boards. However, you maintain the best odds by keeping your website and menu up to date on your web page. So by visiting your website, prospective applicants can also get a good feel of your work culture, team spirit, and your menu and stuff like that, right? So, which I mentioned before. That's why you want to make sure that your website is, giving up more information about everything, because people will check you out, all right? And that's how you can get the best, ROI with your website, which results, in about, more 43% more hires overall, right? So once you have that, where else do you post your jobs, right? You can post them on Hire Me, you can post them on Poach, you can post them on good food jobs, and you can also post on culinary agents. All right. Um, you can hire friends of friends. All right. And this is one of the best ways to build up your restaurant team in 2022, is that you can ask people to refer those they know that would be a good fit. All right. So just ask your existing staff if they have any friends within the industry looking for a great gig. Get those persons to come in and hire, train them, all of those things, get them to be a part of your restaurant family. All right. Considering that the estimated turnover cost averages around 5,000 $800 for a typical frontline employee, you don't want to keep repeating the cycle every 90 days. All right. It's essential to find someone that blends seamlessly with your existing team and understands the job role, has all the skills needed, or are, trainable and more. Right. And when you hire, right, your staff, you want to have their, have the long-term needs in mind for your business and for them, right? You save money on training, resources, time, and more by being more deliberate about who you choose to hire, right? And it's not just about filling a need, but it's also about finding, genuinely kind, thoughtful, curious, hardworking, and self-aware people with integrity, right? And these factors can prove more important than the level of skill a person brings to the table, all right? So, I hope that all of these, tips really help in you getting that great person for your restaurant team, to solve that problem, of feeling strained. One more thing that I would say is that as restaurant owners, right? I know it's hard, and you're in a restaurant, and majority of you're working 16 hours every day, day in day out, to get your restaurant moving and going, because you can't 100% rely on your staff, but it's your fault. All right, I'm just going to put it out there. No, I'm not blaming, I'm not trying to, but hey, it's your fault as the restaurant owner. Okay. But it's not that it's impossible to fix, it's just hard to fix. If you use all the tips in this, just assess what you're doing. You know, um, don't think or come out of the gate saying, "Yes, I have the best offer. I'm competitive with everything I do." If you're still struggling right now by not having the right team, you're doing everything yourself. You don't feel comfortable not being in your restaurant because everything is going to go downhill. It's your fault. All right. Accept it, own it, and then fix it. All right. The first thing to do in fixing it is everything that I mentioned up top. And let me go over that. Figure out what you need. Write a great job description. Make sure that your benefits make you stand apart. All right. Consider updating your website so it speaks to not only your food but your work culture, what it is like working in your establishment. Provide opportunities that people can take to advance, and even referral programs. That way you can get an influx of great people, right? And treat your staff like family, right? When they come in, next thing, train your staff and have a system to train them. For every single job, have a system that outlines exactly what is required, what is needed, how things are done, and carry them through that process, right? What I recommend is start from top to bottom, okay? Take a long, hard look. If you are the restaurant manager, you're the owner and restaurant manager, you want to make sure you have a system in place to train each and every position. All right. Say you're the manager, that's what you do. Okay, that's yours. But then create a system to train the head chef, that person who will be in the back of the house, making sure everything is running good. Make sure you have a training for the front of the house persons, right? Make sure you have a system for the every other staff inside the back of the house, the person's washing the dishes, the person preparing the meals, all of those things, right? Because when you have that system and you train that staff, they will be able to be more effective. All right. They will not just be a new hire, but they will grow to become an asset. They will love their jobs because they understand what is expected of them and they are trained to do it. And they have a system that they're following, which makes it super predictable and super easy for them to get the job done. Yes, it's going to be hard, work is hard, but they know what to do. You are able now to delegate and trust that your staff is doing exactly what needs to be done. Why? Because they're doing a system and you have a system to track their performance. That's the next important thing, because the reason you as the restaurant owner is so fearful of not, being there and just leaving everything to the persons that you hire is because you really and truly do not have a system in place to track everything effectively. So after you create systems to track, well, train your staff and let them know what to do, the next thing is to make sure that you have a system that is tracking everything, tracking your inventory, so you can keep your staff honest, tracking your reputation, so you can know if as soon as something is faltering or what to improve on, right? Tracking how you carry a customer from being booking a reservation to actually coming for the reservation, getting their food, and leaving. All right? Track every single thing so that you can know how your business is operating from a bird's eye view, with or without you being there. Okay? But most importantly, is just delegate, have that trust, train your staff, put the task in their hands, let them do what they do best. And that's how you're able to, solve that big problem of that strain of you, the restaurant owner, being in your restaurant day in, day out, a prisoner to your restaurant, unable to leave because you feel like if you leave, everything will go downhill. Yes, it will now. If you don't have a system, if you don't have the right staff or enough staff to run your operation. So sit down, take a long, hard look, and try to solve it one step at a time. You can't do it all in one go. All right. But try to solve that problem one step at a time. And over time, you will be able to have a great team, lower turnover rate, and stuff like that, so that you can, you know, get more food orders and not feel that strain and increase your revenue because less wastage, you're more efficient, your costs are where it should be, you know, and your profit is where you deserve it to be. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I, kind of went off and everything, but I did try to make sure that, this problem of not finding staff, not knowing where to find staff is fixed for you. Uh, just remember the four places that you can go to post any job in your for your restaurant is first hireme.com. Check them out. They're very great for hiring for a restaurant and the service business out there. You can also check out Poached, right? Poachedjobs.com. You go there and you can check out, you can post your jobs there for your restaurant, and it's a good place to go and find people. The next is goodfoodjobs.com. All right, you can go there so you can, find staffing. And last but not least is culinaryagents.com. All right, so those are the places you can go to post and find people for your restaurant. All right, just do all the other things, and when you do that, you should be good to go. All right, thank you so much for making it to this episode. I wish you all the best in your restaurant industry. If you ever need any help, or if you want answers to certain questions, feel free to ask. I specialize in creating the rubber growth system for restaurants that helps them to get their best customers to come back more often and spend more when they do. That's what I do, right? But if you have any other question, because I am very passionate about the restaurant industry, so I do extra research. I always try to learn new things. So I kind of delve out of my special area just to get information so that I am able to really help restaurant owners get the results that they want for their restaurants. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. You can also check out our blog at rebel2creative/blog to see any articles and tips that we post and put out there for your consumption. All right, so check us out. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. You can check me out. I always post some tips whenever I can on those platforms. So, check us out. Everything is right in the rebel2creative.com, right? So you can just check us out, www.rebel2creative, and that's a TO, so REBELTOCreative.com. All right, rebel2creative.com. All right, so thank you again for making it to this episode. Have a wonderful day and see you in the next one.